Hey guys, what's up? Um, yeah, I've been running errands literally all day. I'm pretty tired. I still have like some paperwork to do. So I talked to my mom. I am talking to my mom now about quite a lot of stuff, which I'll update some of the stuff a little bit later. But I really want to go to Germany, so that's the move that I want to make. She doesn't think it's a good idea for me to go to Germany. She thinks that I should stay in America. So I was like, okay, well, if I stay in America, I'd be happy if I went to Nashville, Tennessee. So some of you guys know this, some of you guys don't. Before I moved into this apartment, I'd already signed a lease to go live in Nashville, Tennessee. I really wish I would have actually just made that move. I feel like I probably would have been a lot happier and probably had a lot less stress than I had here. There's just a lot of things about the Bay Area where there's like a false sense of meritocracy, and then because there's meritocracy and then there's wealth, and then there's like really wealthy people who are not white. So there's like Indians, Arabians, Black, Africans, like just a lot of people who are not white. And then there are like obviously like white wealthy people. There's a lot of really, really wealthy people who are not white. And then there's people who are like really, really smart. So they're not necessarily very wealthy. They're like upper middle class, right? And they are also here. And all of those things kind of swarm into everybody believing that they're just like so fucking great. Like every single person believes that they are like an all-star rock and roll princess of like the high top mountain. Everybody believes that they're like the most beautiful, the most talented, the richest. It's just like, and it's ridiculous, right? Like, pro tip, don't compare yourself to anybody else. Pro tip, do not flaunt your meritocracy or your accolades to other people as though they care. They probably don't. You cannot look at somebody and really tell their story. And also, a job is not an identifier of who you are as a human. Alright, so I just want to make those things clear. Also, a mistake that you made yesterday is not a definer for your entire life. Like, you will not be defined by one mistake that you've made in your life. Right? There's no relationship that you've had, that you're going to have, that is going to ruin you. Okay? Like, you are who you are. And everyone's gonna live. And I just wish a lot of people would just stop giving a shit about what I do. I mean, I'm glad if you're here and you honestly care about my story. Like, if that's how you feel, I'm glad. You should. I think I'm fucking interesting. I'm an interesting bitch. I would be, if I were you, I would care too. Not too much. Like, care about yourself more than you care about, like, my story. But, like, yeah, I mean, I'm fucking interesting. So, like, let's be clear. Okay? Anyway, so I have to make some fucking decisions about where I'm gonna go. I'm thinking Nashville. I highly doubt that I'm gonna stay here just because, like, it's been really hard to, like, find a job that's kind of, like, fitting. And, you know, it just shouldn't be this difficult. Like, I think it's clearly something about me and like the liberal West Coast. Like, California is not the state for me. I realize that I really don't think that America is the country for me, which is why like moving to Germany I think would make me a lot happier, just so much happier. And I feel like, how do I say? I feel like I want to give it a shot. Like, I'm ready. I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to explore. Okay? I am ready to be free. To be free of this. Like, I don't want to feel trapped. I want to feel special and important. And I want to have space to express myself quite freely. And unfortunately, I don't feel like that now, which is a real problem for me. I do realize it's probably not a problem for anyone else because, like, others don't care. It is a problem for me, though. Like, I want to feel free. because I don't feel like that. It's a problem for me. I don't like it. I want to change it. Something's gotta give. All right. Also, also, I think a lot of things, to be honest. Maybe I think too much. Also, okay. I'm gonna have to make 2 more videos that unpack, 1, Charlotte's Web, and 2, Elvis. Both really, really great films. Elvis was so good. It was so good. I had no idea. I did not know the Elvis story. All I heard, people in my family hate Elvis because they call him a cultural appropriator of like blues and jazz music. But given the way that he grew up and that he actually did grow up in a black community and spent his entire life actually like continuing to be a part of the black community, like he didn't just like steal songs and sounds, like he was also like a part of the community. Like he had many friends in the black community. He had quite a lot of members on his team, like artists that he worked with that were, you know, a part of that community. And this is during a time of segregation, so it really just said a lot about who he was as a human. That made me respect him quite a lot more and look at that story in a different way, in a way that I didn't look at it before. So that was interesting. That was very interesting. And I also think that I think that how do I say? Like, I think that the reason that I like Charlotte's Web so much is because it really it tells the story of like, there's a pig named Wilbur, right? And so the whole point of Wilbur as a pig is for him to make ham and bacon, right? And pork to be eaten. He was born to die. We were all technically born to die. I feel like that's actually what this film is about, right? It's like it's a animated cartoon. They have another version, but it's not an animation. Actually, no, this one wasn't even an animation. It was like there were humans. He was a natural pig. He was just like talking. Sorry, let's go back for a second. So Wilbur the pig, he is basically, the movie starts out with a mom pig, and the mom pig has like 10 nipples or whatever, but the pig has she's got 11 pups, so there's not enough nips for everyone to get all the piggies to get milk. Now Wilbur is like slower than some of his other like brothers and sisters, and so he's like trying to fight for like some milk, but he can't. He's like losing, so he's like very small, so he has like less milk than the others, right? And so because of this, the dad like picks up Wilbur, and he's basically going to like go kill him for bacon. And the farmer, he has a daughter, and she sees him pick up the pig, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "You're not gonna kill him. You're not gonna do it." And so the dad tells her the story. He's like, "He's weak. He's a weak pig, and there's only 10 nips. There's 11 babies here. There's just not enough for everyone. He has to die. He's going to make wonderful bacon for us to eat. This was his purpose." And she's like, no, if someone has to feed him, I will feed him. So then she takes Wilbur, the pig, and she takes him into the house, and she gets a bottle and she holds the bottle up to the pig's mouth, and now she starts feeding Wilbur. And she does this like every day. She takes Wilbur to school. She's like feeding him. She gets in trouble for that, but then she comes home. She feeds him. She like tells him. She starts reading him good night stories. So Wilbur's got this really great life. I mean, he's got this incredible life. And then so now Wilbur has a space inside of the barn, right? So inside the barn, there are these lambs that have wool. There's like the horse. There's a goose with the golden eggs. There's a rat. There's Charlotte the spider. And there's, I feel like those are all the main important characters. But there was like some really interesting stuff that happens. So like, so, oh my gosh. So basically the rat, he's completely slobby and self-interested. All he does all day is just like roam around and just look for scraps. Like that's all he does. He like lives in this hole under the ground, and he just goes around in the farm. If he knows of like an event that's happening, like they have a carnival that's happening, he just catches a ride to the carnival to like go and eat the corn right off the ground. He's like, this is incredible. You know, he takes the snacks back home. So his whole day is just consumed with like finding trash on the floor and eating it. And that's how he survives, because he's a rat. So that's what his purpose is. Now the lambs, they, you know, the farm man continues to feed them, and then they grow this really long wool, and then every couple of months they shave the wool down and they sell the wool as like to you know, commercial retail stores that make coats and blankets and stuff out of it, because lamb wool is really expensive and worth a lot of money. And then there's the goose who lays the golden eggs, and so her whole job is to just sit on top of the eggs and just make sure that they're safe and warm and protected until they hatch, and then those eggs are going to lay, you know, the eggs that people eat for breakfast, right? Now, one of the eggs doesn't hatch, and so they call it like a rotten egg. So it's just like the yolk, and that's what you see. That's like the kind of eggs that we eat and we put in the refrigerator. And so she gives the rotten egg to the rat, and then the rat takes it down into his like hole, and he was trying to like preserve it. I don't know what he was gonna do with it, but it ends up like cracking on him, and it just smelled so awful. It was just like, you know. So it's just like all this stink. The stink just like fills up his entire hole and the whole barn, and everyone's like, oh, rotten eggs. And then, okay, so Wilbur gets to be pretty big, and so the farm man, he like sells Wilbur to, I think, what's like one of the neighbors who, he's the one who like buys the pigs or whatever. Okay, this is great, except when he buys Wilbur, the whole point of him buying Wilbur is to make food. He wants to make like ham and pork chops, and when Christmas comes around, that's basically when the pigs are slaughtered. So that's why they call them like spring pigs. They're born in spring, they die around Christmas. That's like their lifespan. And so what Wilbur begins to realize in, you know, his friendship with Charlotte the spider is that like Charlotte's, every day she spins a web. The whole purpose of her spinning the web is so that she can basically catch her meals. She catches insects like flies and bugs in her web, and then she puts a web, the bug flies into the net, into the web. She like wraps it up in the web, and then she eats it. And well, she doesn't eat it. She sucks the blood out of it, and that's how she gets her nutrients. And so she makes a point to Wilbur, like, Wilbur, you don't have to work for your food because they just bring it to you. The life of a spider is not like that. Like, I have to go out and fetch my own meals. I honestly feel like that is the story of like quite a lot of women, actually, because it's like we have to go out into the world and like make a way for ourselves.